Hello, and welcome back to 5-Minute MuckBusters, where we explore how wellness writing can help you make it through the thick sludge of life. Yes, you. If you could type something into your browser, you can write for your own wellness. We're here at episode 7, and we're going to examine the unsent letter in our writing practice. But first, I want to respond to something that a viewer said to me the other day, where it seemed that it appeared that I wasn't wearing any clothing underneath my jacket. Well, first of all, let me assure you, I was. And secondly, that brings up a point that what we wear can distract people from our message or from our essence. Take, for example, Abe Lincoln and his ridiculous top hat. I mean, what was the deal with those hats? Who decided they were fashionable? They didn't keep your ears warm. Whenever I see a picture of him, even in my own mind, I get so distracted by that weird fashion accessory that I almost forget about all the smart things he did. So let's segue now into discussing wellness writing. One of the things he did that was brilliant was he used writing to process his thoughts. He called them his hot letters. And one time, for example, he wrote a scathing letter to a Union general who had let the Confederate troops slip away in a battle. Lincoln didn't send the letter as originally written, though, but once he got all his emotions out on paper and burned the letter, then he was in a place where he could write a calmer, more professional letter to that general. So here's the thing about using unsent letters as part of your wellness writing practice. Number one, they've been recommended by mental health professionals for a long time because it's an intimate writing form that makes us feel closer to the person that we're thinking about. Partly because we use words like I and you rather than more distant third person point of view. Also, writing letters helps us connect with that person irrespective of the outer world's interpretation of who they are. They help us be one-on-one with them, and that makes us feel safe when we're writing from our heart, which is where our letters really often originate. And thirdly, when you're writing an unsent letter for wellness writing, you can say whatever you want because your intention is not to send it, it's to get it all out. I've used unsent letters when I've needed to process breakups with my best friends. I used it when my first husband cheated on me. And I've used it over the years when my kids have upset or worried me. One time when one of my kids was a teen, he was pretty withdrawn and I was pretty worried. And he'd stay away from me during the day and then he'd forage through the kitchen at night when I was asleep, like a nocturnal animal. And one time I wrote a poem letter to him, and it started out like this. You didn't know I lay awake at night waiting for your dishes to clatter and the microwave to beep, waiting for any sign of hope. Let's take this idea of letter writing for a spin. What's been on your mind lately? Has something perplexed you or somebody upset you? Your assignment is to craft a letter to a friend, a family member, a coworker, a pet, a body part, or even your younger self. Or maybe write a letter to COVID-19. Assume you won't actually be sending this letter, which of course you won't if you're writing it to the virus. That way you can be free to say whatever you want to say. The topic and length is also up to you. If you need a little more inspiration, you might look for these easy-to-read poem letters online, some of my favorites. One is called To a Daughter Leaving Home by Linda Pastan. One is called Love After Love by Derek Wolcott, and it's a poem to self. And one is called Soda Crackers by Raymond Carver, a letter to a food staple that helped the writer get through some pretty tough times. As with most wellness writing assignments, find a quiet, uninterrupted place to write, and then set it aside, and then check in on yourself on how you're feeling, especially noticing whether anything surprising came up to you as you wrote, and whether you actually named that new surprising feeling on the page. After some time has passed, you may decide to go ahead and send it, up to you, but I encourage you to reread it carefully before you do that. Thanks for watching today's episode. I hope you found this tool helpful and one that you can use again from time to time. Next time, we'll talk a little bit about poetry, and don't skip it just because you're afraid of poetry. It'll be fun. Until then, be well and keep on writing.